Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I am excited to welcome our guest, Rodney Shields. If you remember from last year's New Earth Ascension Summit, he was one of our speakers. He did such an amazing job. He is going to be one of our keynote speakers at the New Earth Ascension Summit this year, which is focusing on embodied leadership for the Galactic Age. Rodney bridges science and spirituality, and his summit talk is going to be The Heart's Gateway, Awakening Divine Love in Action, which we're giving you a little sneak peek of in this interview today. So Rodney, thank you for joining us, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Shelli. I appreciate being here and being invited back. So thank you. It's a great privilege for me.
You're welcome.
So just a little bit about me, a background. As you stated, I've been in the scientific discipline for the last 16 plus years in wastewater, and I was 3.5 years in the medical side. I understand the sciences and how precision and attention to detail matter. A lot of it is the unseen world. That's what we deal with in science, especially on the chemical and a molecular level. So understanding how that works and then being introduced to spiritual healing and modalities the last year and a half, I feel like it's really down my pathway. I really understand how the unseen can have an effect on the seen. And so that's really where I come from. A little bit about me. I got into the sound healing because of personal healing reasons, as many of us do. And then it just kind of snowballed after that. And I discovered that I have an ability for sound healing and energy healing. I certified in Reiki. And I've been in music all of my life. I can always listen to a piece of music and play it by ear. I can hear the tones. I can understand how it works. So that's something that my mind is very comfortable with. And I've been able to integrate that into a practice that I've had a little over a year now called Symbiosis Sound and Energy Healing. It's just on the side right now, but I really feel like a lot of these modalities that we have in the healing world are very needed in our day to day. And that's what I'm trying to bring to the table is some of my expertise and how I've been able to experience healing, and hopefully other people will resonate with that modality and it will assist them as well.
I absolutely love that. What I'm seeing is what you're describing, how there are so many people who are attuned to energy healing, and they are, first of all, kind of being initiated into it. You mentioned that you had a personal crisis that perhaps brought you into awareness of this. And then once we make it through our own circumstances, we bring these modalities to the world. And that to me is New Earth leadership. I love seeing that. And I'm super excited to experience your modality in the New Earth Ascension Summit. I think that that is going to be absolutely fascinating. So I appreciate that you do have such a strong background in science. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you bridge science and spirituality in your work?
Yeah, for sure. So in science, we're always using instruments and methods to measure things, to quantify things so that we have real world data. We have something that we can have of substance and that we can say, yes, A had an effect and the result B was produced. In spirituality, we're working with such subtle energies and the unseen, really out of the human visible spectrum that, you know, a lot of those modalities, you have to rely on a lot of things that are not so easily measurable, right? People like Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden, there's a few other people that have really been able to produce solid results and defendable data with a lot of these modalities that they've been using, this heart-brain coherence. They've seen people's actual physical brain structure change, and not just a little bit, but dramatically within a short amount of time. You know, people think that your mind doesn't have as much power as it does, but it really does. And these things are just starting to be discovered, to be measurable with our instrumentations and what we can see now. So we're really bringing the unseen into the seen world with the ways that we can detect these energies. You know?
Yes, yes. I love that because I know oftentimes when I'm working with clients, one of the things that they'll say is, how do I know I'm not making this up? Right? And that's because the energy that we work with, that is on the unseen level. And I have seen this where science is starting to explain what we have been experiencing in energy healing and in the energetic world. So I love that you have a background in science and that you are bringing that to the table, that you're helping to bridge science and spirituality. I think that's phenomenal.
Thank you.
So in your talk, you're going to be talking about awakening divine love in action for the new earth. Can you tell us what that means for you? Divine love in action. It feels good.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Whenever we talk about positivity and love, I'd like to believe that most people are on board, and it's a topic that we're all striving to achieve in this life. I don't believe that anybody enjoys being in a negative state or having hardships and difficulties. And, it's just part of life. However, your point of view really does affect how you live your life, right? Awareness and perception. So, a lot of these teachings are to get people to recognize that it's not something outside of us that we're looking for. It's not something that we're trying to discover. It's we're redirecting that energy back into ourselves. And when we do that, we pay attention to what's going on in our mind and in our body. And that really takes concerted effort, because you can go throughout your day and just be focused on 100 things and trying to accomplish so much, but yet you're neglecting your own personal state of being. And when you focus on your personal state of being, it doesn't mean those things go away, right? It just means you're able to flow with life in a way where ego doesn't take over and you're living from a heart-centered space. And when you do that, life is much more easy to handle, I would say. It's less stressful, it's less burdensome. No, those problems and issues don't go away, that you're able to handle them in a better way. So I feel like, the reason I wanted to talk about awakening divine, love in action is because it really starts with us. Nothing's going to come here. The new earth is not going to appear out of nowhere. No one's going to come save us. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. And once we get over that barrier and understand we are the ones that have to do the work, we have to heal ourselves. Nobody's going to heal us for us, right? And so that's the whole point of this. Is I'm one of the purposes of my business. I'm trying to empower other people and show them how to empower themselves, so that, say somebody goes to a healing session or a sound bath and they had a great experience. Well, they go home, and what do they do after that? Do they go to another sound bath and pay another $30 or $40? Do they have to wait? What do they do? So my whole point is, hey, people don't have a lot of money sometimes to go to all of these sessions. Why not empower them and show them how to do it themselves, so that we live in a society where we're living our truth and we're living that divine love day by day. It's an embodiment. It's not an experience that we have. It's something that we take into our life. And every circumstance that we're in, we apply these principles to the best of our abilities. And we reevaluate ourselves on a daily basis, moment by moment, and we're aware of it.
Thank you. Yes, that is a beautiful description of divine love in action. And it is true that I do believe, like you, that nobody wants to feel miserably, and we're all seeking that love. Regardless of what the external behavior is, the motivation is always seeking that love. And so I love how you talk about that seeking it externally might be looking for love in all the wrong places, right? And instead, we should be turning that inward, giving ourselves that love, finding the truth of who we are as divine love, And then that just naturally flows out of us to
Yes.
support others. And you mentioned how the new earth isn't out there somewhere. It's not some destination. It's not going to be served up on a platter to us. And this is something my guides have reiterated to me as well. That's that the new earth is going to be embodied. So as
Yes.
you embody that, then as more and more people embody the new earth, that is what actually creates the new earth.
Yes.
So, okay, permission energy. I am the queen of permission energy. And so you are welcome to put a boundary around this, right? But you're talking about how this divine love and action supports you in your day-to-day life. And I have privileged information. I know that you have had a challenging week where you have had some challenges come up for you. And so you don't need to go into the details of any of that, but I would love to hear your perspective on how has this coherence supported you in navigating that?
Thank you, Shelli. I'm going to be vulnerable here for a minute. My family and I have had a challenging week, this last week in particular. And to be honest, it's been a challenge that I've never had to face before and something that did not think that I would have to face. But nevertheless, it's happened. And I'll say traditionally, my mode would be to express the anger, express the frustration in a outwardly way that would be not very constructive. Since I've been really focusing on heart brain coherence and my inner state of being, this hit me pretty hard. And I was lost for a few days in my mind. I'll have to say that. And we all get that way. I don't wish anybody to have those kind of experiences, but we have them. But I'll tell you this, I did not hit a low like I had in the past. And it's really goes to show how effective this stuff is. I was able to apply my modality. I was able to meditate. I was able to be in nature. I was able to use all of the tools that are available to me to be able to overcome this hurdle. And we're still working through it. But you know what? Yes, it was a horrible thing, Shelli, but I really focused and redirected that energy from what a horrible thing it was to how grateful I am that it could have been worse, but it wasn't. And I still have a chance to be able to address that issue with my family and work through it. And we're grateful for that, but if I would have chosen and it's a choice, right? If I would have chosen to focus my attention on the negative and those energies that were welling up in my heart space and just the despair and whatever, that would have been very destructive for me and those around me. But because I was able to use these modalities and these lessons and teachings that I've learned, I was able to overcome that with much greater ease. And I think it's a way that we all could apply into our lives, and it's all based on the presentations and the teachings that I've been sharing the last year and this year is the heart brain coherence, divine love. When we turn inside and focus on our internal state of being, our external world is greatly affected in the positive manner.
Thank you. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us because that's such a beautiful experience. What I love about it is that you were not bypassing all the big emotions. You still had all the big emotions. You had the anger, the fear, the grief, the surprise, the frustration, the despair. You had all those emotions. They didn't magically go away. But what I'm seeing here with your modality is that you were able to anchor yourself into that divine love instead of getting lost in the storm of this life.
Yes.
And so that is powerful because we are in tumultuous times. That doesn't mean we're not going to experience the storms. You are correct. We all experience the storms. Also, it sounds like this and other modalities that we feel drawn to, they can help give us that anchor to work through it and to, like you said, instead of focusing on all of the negative, to come into a space where you can actually focus on solutions.
Yes. Yes. I think a big part of it is, like you said, just really focusing on the positive. And I like how you said I didn't avoid those big emotions that came up. If you shove them down and try to ignore them, they're just going to come back later in a manner that may be very destructive. I think key to that is really just owning and allowing those emotions to present themselves, process, say thank you. What are you trying to tell me, emotion? And then love it and let it go. And it will tell you something that's very valuable for you in your life.
That's powerful. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So, kind of leading into this next question, how does sound support ascension and healing? Because your modality is sound based, right?
Yes, it is. I really feel like sound is one of the biggest tools that we have at our disposal. Nowadays, you can hop onto YouTube, you can go to Spotify, you can go to many different platforms, and you have the access to so many different sound frequencies that are available to us. So I really feel like this is a unique time where we can utilize those to assist us in our healing process, in our growth, and in our expansion. I have a little diagram here, and hopefully you can see that.
Mhm.
But this is the Japanese characters. One is for music and one is for medicine. And music and medicine in the Japanese culture for thousands of years has always been to help heal. Music has been traditionally a modality of healing, and we're just rediscovering it. We as humans have never used this. Tibetan cultures, a lot of the Asian and monk Buddhist cultures use sound frequencies in healing, and so this is something that we're remembering. And in my discovery doing this modality, I found that there are a lot of different sound frequencies that can assist us. We have 528 as the miracle tone. We have 741 for detoxification, and there's a lot of different sound frequencies that we can use. And as we've heard in the past, probably Tesla has said that everything is frequency, sound, and vibration, energy, frequency, and sound and vibration. So when we look at life as sound has an effect on our body, when we get our mind out of the way, we just let it do its thing. It has an effect on us that we cannot really force with our mental. We have to sit back, clear our mind, open up our body, stop resisting, and then use the tools that we have. We can sit with a musical tone, and we can sit with something and just breathe in those energies that are coming in and let them saturate us and do their work, because we don't have to do anything. We have to close our mind is what we have to do. That's the hard part, is people need to let spirit do its thing. We can't let ego get in the way. Once we do, we mess it up.
And so that's fascinating that the symbol for music and medicine are so close in the Japanese culture. And it makes me think of how we self-medicate with music, don't we? Like when you're having a hard time and certain songs just kind of hit a certain way, or if you're angry, you crank up the volume and get some screamo music going on, right? So I think without being aware of it, we actually self-medicate with music. And so I love that your modality is using sound in such an intentional way. More instead of a sledgehammer, it's more of a precise tool, right?
Yes, yes. I feel like doing the scientific discipline for so many years, I'm really good at details. I'm really good at figuring things out. I can diagnose an instrument or a problem in our lab, and I'm pretty good at it. I feel like spirituality and emotional healing is very, very similar. At work, I write SOPs, right?
Mhm.
Standard operational procedures. And for my business, I also write SOPs, but they're spiritual operating procedures. And I can outline a plan or a SOP for people and kind of help them on a pathway that I say, okay, what's your problem? We diagnose it and then lay it out. It's really interesting to see how these musical frequencies and tones are being integrated more and more. You see a lot of these sound baths popping up,
Mhm.
all over the place. And I think it's very needed in our time and day right now.
I think so too. I think so too. And that's why I'm so excited for your presentation during the summit because you're going to give us a little bit of a taste of what you do. Would you please describe a little bit more for us what people will be receiving when they attend the summit?
Yes. So I will have a grounding exercise that we'll be providing for people. This is not just a sit, breathe, and ground. This is a very intense grounding exercise. And what this does is it really establishes roots between you and the earth. It opens up and clears all of your chakras, and it really anchors in the earth energy in your body, using divine energy to clear and push roots out, and then using the earth energy to fill up. I use sound to do it, along with guided meditation and energy that I'm using, Reiki. So hopefully you'll enjoy that grounding exercise that I have. I really feel like when you are fully grounded and you are connected with the earth and you're connected with source, you're the bridge, right? We're the bridge between heaven and earth. So in that way, you are the perfect receiver for the divine inspiration that only you can receive through your heart space. That's why I think it's so cool that when we connect, we receive the guidance that we need. We don't need to go ask Rodney how to do this or Shelli how to do that or whoever it may be. We can say, what do I need to do? I need to sit with myself, look on the inside ground, and then receive the inspiration from my higher self, from source, from guides, whoever it may be. And when we're open and receptive and we're not resisting, that's when we experience the highest level of divine love.
That feels so good. Thank you very much, Rodney, for such a rich and insightful conversation. I appreciate you tremendously, and I know our audience is going to love your presentation and the meditation that you are including with that because yes, please. Reminder to everybody, the summit is May 5 through 9. Registration is free, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. So I invite you all to join us. And Rodney, thank you so much for your time and insight. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Shelli. I'm grateful, like I said, to be here, have this opportunity, and thank you for providing this platform for all of us to be able to share with one another. It's a great honor for me. Thank you.
Hmm. It's my pleasure. Thank you all to everybody for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your week.